Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim, the newest movie out on the big screen. Let's talk about it. Okay, so the newest movie into the Lord of the Rings franchise, The Lord of the Rings, The War of Bad Animation. That didn't sound right. That didn't sound like the title. But that's what it should have been called, because, oh my word, was this some of the worst animation I have seen in a very, very long time. Very, very long time. And I mean, that's frustrating when I see that. Now, okay. Let's just start with the animation, because the animation pulls you out of this movie so often. It is choppy. The fight sequences are not smooth or crisp at all. I'm sitting there watching it and I'm like, this is some of the worst action I've ever seen animated. Now, I'm someone who watches anime all the time. And I go from watching Solo Leveling, Demon Slayer, and then, I come to this and I'm like, what is going on here? And you can't just say, oh, yeah, well, they're anime, that's Japanese, like, it's different. I'm sorry, Arcane has absolutely outstanding animation. Into the Spider-Verse has absolutely fantastic animation. Like, there has been things done with some fantastic animation. This was just on another level of bad. There was so many sequences where they are doing a wide shot, and it's like they just couldn't be bothered. What they did is they got a PNG clip. They put it on there, and they made it go up and down like that. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, is that an intern that's doing that? Is this someone? Did they hire me to do that? Because I can do that. You can pay me millions to do that. You can pay me thousands to do that. I'll do that. I'll get a PNG, put it on there and make it go up and down. Like, what are we doing? And the whole entire time, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is going on? The background did not mesh with the characters at all. It felt like the characters were just stuck onto the screen. Like, that's what it looked like. It just didn't look right at all. And I was just so frustrated throughout the whole entire movie, because every time it happened, it took me out of the movie. And I'm sitting there like, how does this get past? How does one sit there and go, I like that animation. You know what? That's a rock star animation. Let's do it. I want that. I want that. That is peak animation. To this day, I'll never know how they got past. I don't know how it did, but let's go into the story. The story, it's generic. It's something we've seen before. It's nothing like out of the ordinary. It's definitely not a Lord of the Rings story, like with depth, detail, characters, and everything like that. It just didn't feel like that. This very much did feel like a little side quest sort of thing. The whole idea is, you see it in the trailers, the king kills this guy, the son wants revenge. And he wants to do it all. And, people make stupid decisions. The king thinks he's invincible. He makes dumb decisions where he should have listened to this person. The routine that we've seen before. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is bad. This is really, really bad. They never really dive into Wulf as a character as much. I feel like there was a story that could have been told with him. You could have really dove into a revenge plot storyline. I love Vinland Saga. I don't know if anyone who's watching this has seen Vinland Saga. It's about Vikings, and it's anime. And Thorfinn has this idea where his dad dies, and he is going through his whole entire life sorting out revenge. He just wants revenge. And when that's taken away from him, he must shift into a different character and find a different purpose of life. I feel like there was a chance where they could have told a story very similar to that with this movie, with Wulf or something like that. But instead, they just went, you know what, this guy wants revenge and that's it. He don't want anything else. He don't want the throne. He don't want that. He just wants revenge, pure revenge. And it felt one-dimensional. It really did. And I was like, come on, can you give this villain a bit more dimension, where I'm sitting there and I'm like, I understand why he's doing it and that. I'm like, yeah, okay, his father died. But I just felt like we didn't spend enough time with him. I don't know what it was. There was no depth to him. And then you come to our heroes who we're following. Héra. Okay, like, I don't know. I didn't feel connected to her. I didn't feel like, oh yeah, she's someone I want to follow into battle or anything with. And I just felt like they didn't really dive into those characters at all. There was a lot of times where they're just sitting around and just like, I don't mind characters sitting around and talking to each other. Some of the best stuff you're gonna see is characters just sitting in a room talking to each other. Shogun is a perfect example of that. Getting two characters into a room and just having them have a conversation. Thrilling, brilliant, just unbelievable. This didn't have that. The dialogue just was not there. The writing was not there. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, they're talking about this wedding dress. Great. Am I supposed to be thrilled about this? And it just never felt like there was no deep conversations where I sat there and I was like, oh, I understand the meaning. Like, this is why they're going to do that. And I can understand. There's none of that. There really isn't. There's no emotional attachment. There's no emotional moments. And, you know, they try to replicate some, you know, Lord of the Rings moments that are just absolutely phenomenal when you watch on the big screen and you get like goosebumps and you're like, you're pulling out your fake sword and you're like, let's go, I'm coming with you. They try to do that in this movie and it just never hit that level. And it's a shame. Because I feel like there is something here that could be really, really good. But once you add in the bad animation with characters that you just don't really care about because they just don't develop them and they don't get you connected with them. And then with a story that is very bland and boring and something we've seen before thousands of times, it just kind of makes up for this messy movie that you kind of are left with a very bad taste in your mouth after you walk out of the theater. And it's long. The pacing of this movie is awful. I'm sorry, it is. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that, and it feels like it's 3 hours. It just drags and drags and drags, and I'm sitting there like, come on. Can you make it interesting? And it's a shame because it's in a franchise that is so good in The Lord of the Rings. Like, with the trilogy, that is one of the best trilogies of all time. Say what you want about The Hobbit. There's some good things in The Hobbit. There's some bad things. They're not perfect. Then you go to Rings of Power. I don't mind Rings of Power. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best TV show of all time or anything like that. Like, it's okay and it's watchable. But I just feel like now we're adding in this. It's just kind of like diluting the Lord of the Rings is starting to become like Star Wars, where you have these high quality things, but it's getting drowned down by the lack of quality because they just can't seem to capture the magic of the originals. And that's what I feel like Lord of the Rings is going under right now. That is what it is. This is a property that people absolutely adore and love. And just the new stuff that they're putting out is just not hitting. It's not hitting. The quality isn't there. And this is just another one, another entry into that bad slot of stuff that is coming out in the franchise that's diluting it. So, for me, it's a miss for me. So, let me know what you guys thought of the movie. Maybe you guys loved it. Let me know what you guys think. Smash it down in the comment section below. Smash that like button. Click subscribe. And I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.